Hello and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be trying to paint a Bob Ross painting from the Joy of Painting. The painting that I've chose to try and replicate is called Mountain Summit. So I'm going to play the video alongside this. You probably won't be able to hear it, but do not despair, because you'll be able to listen to my beautiful voice and watch me attempt to replicate the painting here. Due to copyright, you won't hear it. It never works, even if I'm playing music, or even if I was to play one of my own videos, the audio wouldn't come through. So let's get started. I'm going to play this, and I'm going to enjoy Bob Ross's beautiful harmonic tones. I'm going to try and copy it as best I can using this oil painting simulator called Vermilion. I've got my array of brushes here, ready for me to choose. Got my mixing palette with some prime colours based around the side. I'm going to be attempting as best I can to match his colours. I have done one of these before. I think I did Valley View. I don't think I posted the whole video on YouTube, but there is a kind of a results video on TikTok. But today I'm going to post the whole video on YouTube and see if you guys enjoy it. I've resized the canvas. The size is... I don't think I used to tell you the sizes. We've got our cleaning rag here where we clean our brushes. We've got our wet palette here. We've got our bucket of paint thinner. We've got our canvas, we've got our palette holder, which is also my arm, and I think we're good to go. So what Bob did is put white all over. I'm going to use the palette knife for this. You just got to beat the devil out of it, as Bob says. Smooth out all those lines. Right, now we should be good to go again. So just get my mix ready. Like I said, bit of blue, tiny bit of black. So let's begin. Actually, let me catch up to where he is. I'm doing exactly as you say, Bob. I've made a fantastic little sky, apparently. Blue and black. He's used water, I'm going to use paint thinner. There we go. So what he's saying is the sky is going to meet water at some point. Right, so now he's building clouds up, and he's just telling us to tap the canvas and just bring it out a little bit. Trying to match the shape is quite difficult. I think we need a bit more blue in our background. Right, so I'm going to use the fan brush because I don't think the other brush was working out for me. Not to do clouds anyway. Although I will use this brush to mix. Make sure it's completely dry. Give it a bit of a darker area. Add my white section. I'm going to use the blender tool. Fade that in. There we go. So I think I'm similar in shape to where he's got. And I think he's using the palette knife. Well, he's using it for mixing anyway. He wants us to have a mountain which he's mixed a bit of the blue and the white, the black even. So he's got a bit of a mountain going on. Is it like that? Mine's mixing a little too well. Bring that down. I was saying use the large brush to kind of thin that out. Very soft, he says. So just drag this out. Make sure it's dry. Pull it down, make sure it's all down there. Make sure it's all thinning it out nice and gently. Right, palette knife again, he's taking white. His palette knife is a little bit different to the one I've got, but we should be able to get the same effect. No pressure, he says. You drag that down. That didn't work. Try again. Actually, what I'm going to do, because it's not working, it's mixing far too well with all of that, I'm moving on to layer 2 to catch up. And then I'm dragging that out. See what I'm doing? So now it just makes much more sense for me to kind of build out on a second layer. Thin it out a little bit. There we go. Now we want to do the shadows. It's a similar sort of technique. Just let it float, let it drag down. Okay, you just want to follow the opposite to what you did for the light. We add some shadow here. There we go. Get a nice mix going on. So now he's saying he wants a bit of mist, so he's going to tap the bottoms so that it almost dilutes it a little bit. So I've done it on the bottom of the mountains, which is on the second layer. I'm going to have to go back onto the first layer and do the same sort of thing. I'm going to use the blender brush, which he doesn't have. So now he's using the fan brush, and I assume we're going to start making some trees. So we've got some background things in the distance, so now he's saying that because we've got a wet canvas, we can pull down and we can make some reflections in our water. And you just pull down a couple times, and because the canvas is wet, the paint will just pull down with it. And there you see. Let's continue. Now we're into the happy little trees. It's mixing too much, so I'm going to do my tree on layer 2. Shrink my brush a little bit. Just build those trees out. Okay, now we can continue. Mix in a bit of yellow, give it a bit of a highlight. There we go. Now we're using our palette knife to cut in and make some so now we're onto a really big tree, so we use our tree colour, and again I'm going to go into layer 2. And he's up in here, so all the way up. Big son of a gun. And then give it its leaves. And then he's done some others to go next to it. And then one more. We want somewhere for these to live, he says. trying to get an even blend on here. Now we need the reflections again, so let's just pull down as best we can. Right, I'm going to go back in with our green that we had for the tree. I'm just going to make them a bit stronger. Right, so now what he's doing, he's using the palette brush. It's getting a bit of brown. Put an indication of tree trunks. Just up and down. It's a highlight, so you want it to be all following the same pattern. There you go. Now we want to highlight with the fan brush, so we bring a bit of yellow, a bit of green. And some darker areas. Load that brush full of paint, and then bring it all out. I'm also going to bring some of that onto the island again. Right. Now what he's doing is he's bringing some brushes out in the front. So I'm going to go into layer 3. I'm going to bring the green and the yellow together. And then so his works a little bit different to mine. And then let's create some more. A bit more green. I'm having to improvise a lot here with different kinds of brushes, because the brushes on here don't necessarily work the same way they would for Bob. So it's not going to look exact, but we do our best. And then again we want to pull down and get our reflections going. And then I guess he wants to cut in with some water again. Just putting some land in. Right, so now we're building an even bigger tree. But before we do that, I'm not happy with my tree, so I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. There we go. Yeah, give it a bit more depth, maybe some black. Add a bit more depth to these ones. Okay. A bluey green colour to start off with. So let's look at this one, maybe. So he's come, it takes up the whole painting essentially, so let's have at it. And I'm just kind of sporadically putting paint on the canvas here. I know we're going to give it a bit more character in a second. Just try and get all those different tones in. Bit of black in there. Bring that down. Now I'm going to make a little bit of highlight on there. Just where the light's shining through. And just blend that in a little bit. Right, now with the fan brush, he's made another tree. So it comes up from here. And then he's got some of the usual rigmarole. And then some highlights. I'm just going to mix some of those together. Right, I've mistaken what he was doing here for a giant tree, when in actual fact it was a bunch of different trees. So I'm going to rectify this. So, bring in some of the blue and the green, pull that out, bit of green in there, Bit of black. Mix, mix, mix. Right, so now he said put some branches in there, which I'm going to do. Okay. And now he's adding on some greens, so some brighter greens all over the shop on top of those. There we go. It's looking like a bunch of trees now. Fixed it. Add a bit of yellow in there, even more highlights. And a few more darker areas. Maybe use some brown. Blend that in. I think we're caught up. I was saying there's a darker shadowy shrubbery almost in here. Let's blend these in. He's doing a little path now. So you use white, brown, and he's done like a they're the highlights to it. Now I'm just going to add one final thing, which will be a shadow. Just make them darker. And there you have it. There's my Mountain View by Bob Ross, painted in VR using Vermilion. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you like it. Comment if you wanted me to try any others. Let me know. Thank you very much.